On to Arizona this Sunday. Let's talk about David Lombardi of The Athletic. David, did I leave anything out? Good morning. You're on the Murph and Marcus show. Marcus Boucher, Brian Murphy. Morning, David. How are you, man?
David, morning.
I'm doing great. What an amazing team to cover. I mean, they're historically good. They're the fifth most efficient team in NFL history right now, and if they keep this up, then the 49ers will win a Super Bowl. It's a matter of sustaining at this point. They're clearly, as right now in the present tense, they are head and shoulders above the rest of the league, and that's just an objective fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact, and now it's about health for this team, and it's about sustaining what they're doing, because what they're doing right now is really, really special.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue what they did to Dallas and Philadelphia in it goes back-to-back. The two teams chasing them for the 1 seed, they blew both those teams out. That said, I just want to kind of start on a slightly negative tip. You mentioned health. I didn't get a full breakdown after the game as to Mooney Ward's situation and Javon Hargrave's situation, or is that still unknown as of now?
Yeah, we're going to find out a little bit more this afternoon. I know that Mooney Ward was trying to get back in the game initially. He was doing some of his backpedaling drills on the sideline, and then he was on the stationary bike and then just decided to shut it down. Didn't go into the locker room, which I think is a fairly good sign. But, those groin injuries can be tricky. The 49ers did bring Jason Verrett back officially. He finally agreed to terms to sign with the practice squad. That was according to Matt Mayoko. And I saw Jason Verrett in the locker room, so I figured something was up. Everybody was giving him handshakes and got to say hi really quickly. But that's something to watch, because I know they were really impressed by his workout a few weeks ago. So we'll see about Charvarius Ward, and we'll see about Javon Hargrave, who's got a hamstring. And I think that it really lines up, if you include those injuries with Eric Armstead's knee and foot issues, I think it really lines up to shut some guys down for this week. They're going to be heavy favorites over the Cardinals, and then everybody is circling Christmas Day against the Ravens on their calendar. So if I had to guess, if these injuries aren't severe, even if there is a chance for these guys to return on Sunday, I think the 49ers might rely on their depth again and then circle the wagons on Christmas against the Ravens.
It's interesting that you would already start thinking about that, the Ravens game as sort of like an Eagles game in miniature in a way. So good stuff. David Lombardi of The Athletic. Hey, I'll ask a hot one. Here's a hot potato one, because we on this show for years defended Jimmy Garoppolo. They're winning. And I know you wrote a lot of positive stuff about Garoppolo too. Are we at the point now where those of us who defended Garoppolo, we just have to sort of say, oh, gosh, it's totally different with Brock Purdy. Maybe we shouldn't have defended Jimmy so much, because this is a different offense, and it's the big play.
I mean, absolutely not. Garoppolo was a good quarterback. I don't think he was fairly treated by a lot of social media. He did a lot of good things, and his efficiency stats were correlated with those wins. What we're seeing from Brock Purdy, though, is historically elite stuff. I mean, we're talking about the difference between good and Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers prime level elite. That's what Brock Purdy is. Or you could even toss in Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf, Rams. This 49ers offense is delivering explosive plays 16% of the time. That's only matched by Kurt Warner's greatest show on turf, Rams, around the year 2000. Brock Purdy's yards per attempt numbers match Kurt Warner's for the top in NFL history since the merger. Adjusted net yards per attempt, which is actually the one statistic that's most correlated with the NFL MVP award. That includes sacks and touchdowns and interceptions. Purdy's season right now is behind only 2004 Peyton Manning. That was the best season of Manning's career. In 2011, Aaron Rodgers. That was the best season of his career. So, I mean, two things could be true at once. Jimmy Garoppolo could have been a good quarterback for the 49ers, but just like any QB in the league, or almost any QB in the league, he had his flaws, right? But what Brock Purdy is doing right now is at the top of what we've seen in the history of the game, the efficiency. That's what people I don't think are understanding right now. This is top shelf stuff, and the kid is 23 years old. So that's what the 49ers have walked into here. And, I mean, you look at how good they were over the past few years. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, and then you insert Peyton Manning level play. That's what they're getting right now from Brock Purdy. And, the question, I guess, still is sustainability for this. But every week he's up to 20 starts, somewhere around that. Every time he goes out there, it looks more and more sustainable just because of the decision making, the way that he's improving on his weaknesses. I thought that the best play yesterday from him, and it might have been one of the best plays of his career, was where he threw Brandon Ayuk open. He's rolling to his left. It was a 7-step drop. He's rolling away from the pressure. Last year, that was Brock Purdy's kryptonite. You force him out of the pocket to the left, he would just start running, and then in desperation, he would try to flip his hips and throw the ball downfield, and it would probably be an incomplete pass. Yesterday, he kept his hips square downfield even as he was scrambling, so that way he could direct Brandon Ayuk on an off-schedule play, and then he threw him open with a 25, 30-yard pass downfield. I mean, this is high-level stuff, and I can't repeat enough that he's only 23 years old. So I don't think that's a fair appraisal of the Garoppolo-Purdy situation at all. I think the 49ers went from good to MVP caliber play at the quarterback position.
And David, I wanted to focus on that decision-making of a Brock Purdy because for whatever reason, it seems like that's a knock on the Kyle Shanahan system that his quarterbacks are just throwing to a spot. But as you just mentioned, Brock is throwing guys open, and yesterday was a great example when he got up to the podium and pointed out that he could see Jamal Adams being flat-footed when he took that shot downfield to Deebo Samuel. So talk to us more. Oh, sorry about that, David. Yeah, I was just mentioning about Brock Purdy, his processing, and how he was able to recognize something on the field, such as Jamal Adams being flat-footed. So tell us about Brock Purdy's decision-making, that process that he goes through, and how he can go through multiple reads to find that open wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, and he's unbelievably calm and collected there. I think that the one, nail in the coffin, if you got to give out the NFL MVP award today, I think it has to go to Brock Purdy. And I think that he's going to get his chance at a true final statement when the 49ers played Baltimore on Monday Night Football. So they don't have to give away the award right now, but you talk about what he's done so far, the totality of his work, and it's the one thing that stands out to me the most is that the 49ers don't have great pass protection. That's, I think, the one more glaring weakness of this offense, and he's still delivering league-high efficiency by a country mile. And that goes back to how calm and collected he is, and he's keeping his eyes downfield at all times. He's going through the options even as the pass rush is bearing down on him with the wherewithal to make those subtle movements in the pocket or out of the pocket to get away from oncoming rushers. So, we talk about the S2 cognition score that Matt Barrows wrote about for us in The Athletic over the course of this offseason, and Purdy had a 97th percentile score. I think that, is showing up on the field. He's processing at an elite level, but he also has plus physical traits to go along with that. And that's what doesn't make sense to people is they think that he's pick number 262. He must be physically limited in some way, but he's not. I mean, he's faster than most NFL quarterbacks in the pocket. He's got that 10-yard burst that's about the same as Lamar Jackson's, which is the most mind-boggling Brock Purdy metric to me, but it shows up on tape, and his arm is great. Trent Williams said it yesterday. You cannot show a throw that Brock Purdy can't make. It just doesn't exist. He's making the throws outside the numbers. He's making the 50-yard throws downfield. He's the most efficient quarterback in documented NFL history on intermediate throws, 10 to 20 yards downfield, and of course his quick game is also on point. So you combine the processing ability with the short area athleticism with an arm that could make all the throws he needs to make, and this is the result you're going to get.
Good stuff with David Lombardi here as the Niners riding high, man, after that win yesterday. Last one for you, David, would be all that said, that's the second week in a row where an interesting development happened. The Niners were losing at the end of the first quarter. This is the start fast team. This is the always take the lead, Kyle's first 15 plays or whatever. And it's interesting, trailing in Philly after those couple 3-and-outs, trailing yesterday, even though they had a touchdown, a pick early. So your thought on that, how they've now back-to-back weeks started slow, or at least slow-ish, and came back to win. That used to be the book, was if you get ahead of the Niners, you'll flummox them, like Cleveland or Minnesota. So your thought on that?
Yeah, it's been interesting because I think you have to give credit to both the Eagles and the Seahawks for their defensive game plans in the scripted portion early on to throw the Niners off of schedule. The 49ers, actually, I don't think they ever found rhythm in the game yesterday, but they just delivered so many explosive plays that it masked it. Obviously, against Philadelphia, after the first 2 3-and-outs, they found their rhythm, and then they were unstoppable for those 6 straight touchdown drives. So, it's a game of adjustments and counter adjustments. I'm sure the 49ers don't want to spend a quarter or however long it's going to take getting their rhythm. But it just so happened that the past 2 weeks, you saw Seattle especially take away the early part of the 49ers game script, which was those throws over the middle of the field to get Brock Purdy cooking. Yeah. And they were there. They're playing physical. They're knocking the ball away. So, what did the 49ers do? They started going outside the numbers. They started going deep. And that all worked really well for the 49ers, and I think they just want to make sure that their opening game script is a better match against opposing defenses, so they don't get into that kind of hole.
It's an interesting development for sure. So always enjoy the coverage, David. Always enjoy the conversation. Great to hear your voice, and we will chase you down when the next big news story breaks. Thanks for the time.